Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so the release date of Project Epoch is finally upon us, and I have to admit that the very first hours were so freaking smooth. And I guess that very first thing we have to talk about is how well the Ascension team actually did manage to pull this off. If you would ask me, I would say that whole Project Epoch team, if we would even give them like half a year, I think they wouldn't be able to do it to such an extent as Ascension team did on both sides, like performance-wise from the server, constant fixes to stabilize all of the realms, because there were a couple of realms prepared. At this very moment, I think there's like 3 available. It's Kazan, Menethil, which are PvE servers, and Gurubashi. And I've seen on the logging screen that there's also Uldaman prepared and ready, but it has a status as locked, so I'm not quite sure. I think that is just a standby server in case more people comes in. So it was definitely a successful one. Of course, Ascension team does have the resources and the skill set to actually perform and pull this off, so ultimately I think it was a great move from Epoch to actually join the team of Ascension, because this was actually the decision that finally allowed us to play this amazing Classic Plus server, which is Project Epoch, of course. So Ascension collaboration and the whole performance, stability, and even communication from the developers and the Dutch himself was so clear, so smooth, that it was very nice. The server, actually, I was playing for like 3 hours straight initially, and I think that only one crash occurred. Maybe it was a restart, I can't remember. I think it was a crash. And I think the lags persisted for the very first half an hour, but this was probably mostly due to the fact of the massive queue, because initially Dutch allowed only 4.5k people online. I was actually one of the lucky ones, and I managed to get in a couple of minutes before 3 o'clock, so that's another good point that they prepared everything punctually. At 3 o'clock of the European time, we were already inside the game, so that's another good point about the Ascension. And initially there were some delays and lags, but I think they were fixed in like half an hour. When I was already level 4 or 5, it was so smooth finally that it was really good to play. So yeah, just to wrap up the performance-wise, the server from Ascension, it was a massive success, let's say. When it comes down to the soul leveling, it was a total mess, of course. This is a fresh server, the hype is unreal. I'm not quite sure what was the final amount of people that got in. I haven't tracked it actually, but I do know that when I was still playing, the maximum there was 9k people online, so that's quite big to be fair, and that was only on Kazan. Gurubashi was almost full as well, and I heard that on Menethil was somewhere around 5 to 6k, so let's say that approximately there were like around 20k people in total, which is massive, and you could see that, of course. I haven't seen the new starter zones that they added. Probably that did help a little bit in those starting zones from the Horde and Alliance, although I did create a human paladin eventually, just because, you know, paladins are very versatile, and all the changes that Epoch made for paladins actually make them a little bit more exciting than the usual classic one. And from time to time I like to farm stuff, especially that this is the very first main, so like, you know, going prot and farm some resources just to make some gold, or even versatility in dungeons or PvE. Even if the red turns out to be garbage, there's always like amazing holy spec and protection as tank, which in TBC was very viable, so there are plenty of options to play, let's say. And yeah, human zones were crowded, so to speak. I was also quite excited to see the new Goldshire, but we'll get into that in a second. Thankfully, dynamic spawns were in place, and you literally, the main tactic was to stand in one place where the exact mob respawns and just simply spam your auto attack or whatever. Probably the best for that are druids up from level 4, where you get the Moonfire, then you get instant cast spell that you can just literally spam. Otherwise, rogues were quite good because of their Sinister Strike that they could instantly pull off, because auto attack does have some delay like for paladins, so it gets a little bit better with judgment later down the line. But I think I was quite quick with initial quests anyway. I'm not gonna say that I was like in the very top, but it was fine. I was getting through quest quite smoothly until finally I got into the Garrick Putfat quest, which was terrible. They actually created a complete new building for him, and there was just massive amounts of people waiting there. Also, for humans, they have this annoying racial ability that they can put the banner down, and people are just trolling others by placing it down, and just, you know, crowding the screen with unnecessary pixels, which literally creates a situation where you can, even if you kill Garrick Putfat, you are not able to loot him. So I think I killed him like 3 or 4 times while being in a party, of course, because he literally died in milliseconds when he arrived. But yeah, I think that after kill number 4 or something, I finally did manage to pick up his head. It definitely took like around 10 to 15 minutes, so it was quite annoying. But this is what it means to play on fresh server, especially that hyped, so I wouldn't call it like a disadvantage or something. It's nice to see that it's not gonna persist for long. Eventually people will spread, the population is getting low because it's always like that. People want to try out new hyped thing, but eventually they just, you know, go do their own stuff, like go back to Turtle or whatever they want to do. So it was definitely a fun experience. Also in the initial human zones, I did manage to get some new quests. When you do those 4 or 5 initial ones, you get new quest giver that actually sends you to kill some brand new wolf close to the waterfall. It wasn't that AIDS as the Garrick Padfoot, because thankfully there was more space around and it was easier to loot him. And also along the way down the river you find some kind of barrel that supposedly came down from the waterfall, which would mean that somehow it did get past all the burning steps and stuff and just swim down the river from the Dun Moreau. So, but this quest actually leads us outside of the Abbey, so we get back to that later. So ultimately I was able to complete all the quests from the Abbey except for the one for the Millie, where you have to collect the grapes, because the objects opposite to mobs were spawning a lot slower, and this is very unfortunate. I think that later down the line they did change the respawns to like 20 or 15 seconds, so it was a little bit better in further quests, but initially it was impossible to collect like 8 items from the ground, so I just gave up. Especially that the XP from this quest is like 300 or 400, so I could just kill 7 mobs and receive the same thing. So I was just happy to leave the Abbey finally, because first we were going to the brand new Goldshire, and secondly I thought that we will leave a lot of population behind us. But then it turns out that in Goldshire we actually did meet shit tons of people anyway, but the new Goldshire was so good. New crossroads where the carts were going all the ways, crossroads that divided the road into the Redridge, Westfall, Stormwind. Very nice, brand new buildings. The placement of the trainers and all the vendors is a little bit different. There's also new, I think, 2 NPCs that give you brand new quests as well. One sends us to the Jasper Lode mine, which is the second one, because usually, if you remember, in the Standard Classic, you are eventually sent to the Jasper Lode mine as well. But then again, you only have to scout it. In here, they just used the existing assets, they put some plot in it, and created a quest where you have to free the miner and kill some spiders, because you will be doing that eventually. And also there was other quests to kill some goblins and get some equipment. So one simple mine actually added so many more quests, which was awesome. It just seemingly fits to this zone, especially that it was strange in Classic because you had to clear out all different kind of stuff in the Fargo Deep Mine, but then in Jasper Lode you only have to scout it, and in here, it's completely different, it's quite fun. Also, there's a brand new quest straight up when we enter. We have to kill some kind of mage on the hill nearby, which is quite familiar because usually in Classic you get past it when you travel from the Abbey to the Goldshire. But this is actually the continuation of the quest of the barrel we have found in the Abbey in the first place. So then again, we kill that mage, as he is supposedly working with the Defiers. Then we are sent back to the Abbey, because we collected Orb of Translocation from that guy. So we are sent to the Abbey once again. When you use that orb near the waterfall, and we are straight up teleported to the secret location called Northshire Falls. Probably most of you guys that have been playing WoW for so many years already do recognize this place as one of the World of Warcraft secrets, so it was very fun to see that they actually use, once again, the existing assets and places that were literally just not used in the original game. So that was fun. There is some very cool quest concerning two dwarves that got into the argument, and you just have to kill some elementals, collect some herbs from the ground, but very fun. Let's just face it, it's similar to Turtle. It's nothing like you get some super epic quest, but that is literally not what Classic is all about. You're just a simple adventurer, you're helping out people with their errands, so this is exactly what it is on Epoch as well, so it seemingly fits into the world, which is perfect. Then we get back to the crossroads. Oh my god, the Goldshire. We finish up all of our business, there is actually no follow-up from that. And we head to the farms, when there's plenty of stuff to do around there, as well as the Fargo Deep Mine quest. So it was pretty smooth, nothing really that crazy around there. Goldtooth did take some time to be killed, but while we group up with others, we increase our chances, as those mini bosses, let's say, are very hard to hit first time if you're alone, so grouping up helps a ton. And eventually, when I was just fooling around, I did miss a couple of quest items from the kobolds over there. So I just, stood next to the respawn place and was just killing kobold after kobold, and we actually had a very nice conversation on the stream that it's actually probably the most effective way of leveling at the moment. Just stand in one place and you can just kill mob one after another after another after another, because they instantly respawn. So as long as you have resources to kill them one by one without any running whatsoever, it's like 100% the most efficient way of leveling, but probably not the most exciting one, so I decided to leave it be at that point, go back to Goldshire and just continue with the questing to see all the new stuff that Epoch has added eventually. So after completing the quest and turning everything at Goldshire, we are sent out eventually to the Jasper Lode mine, where we have to kill some murlocs along the way, and then we get in there and it's a total chaos inside, mainly because killing everything like kobold, miners, geomancers and some spiders is not a big problem, releasing the miners as well, but there is actually an object quest. You have to pick up the equipment, I think it was, from the miners, and even though the object is respawning every 20 seconds, as I counted on my timer in-game, there are like 4 or 5 people waiting for it when it appears. So even if you are like spamming your right click button that your fingers is almost falling off, it's not gonna help you that much, because yeah, so many people actually click it that you've got 20% chance to actually pull it off. So I didn't count exactly, but when I'm looking through my footage, I think I spent over half an hour to actually get that completed. It was actually quite good that I did it on stream, because in the meantime we had a chance to actually talk about it a little bit, help out some people with add-ons and stuff. But yeah, it was quite crazy, it took so freaking long. But I was really happy to finally get it done. We got back to the Goldshire, turned in everything, and we eventually got to level 9 and followed the path to the Red Ridge to get to the East Vale logging camp. And along the way there are also new quests added to the Tower of Azora, but for the moment I didn't manage to complete them yet. because at this point some stuff from real life actually called me back from work, so I'm really actually excited about the release. I think this was a very successful one, especially that after half an hour everything was so smooth already. Dutch was allowing more people to come in, so eventually I think we capped at 9k, so very exciting. Still shit tons of people running around. I just tried to log in for a second in the evening, actually around midnight already, just to see if there's like any queue, but no, there's still 7.5k people playing on the Kazan alone. People are everywhere literally, so you're still struggling to complete some of the quests. It just turns out that killing quests are the easiest because you can stand in one place and kill the same mob all over again, while picking up some objects is the most difficult ones because they respawn for very long and there are usually more people waiting for it, so that's the current problem I see. Otherwise, quite exciting. Of course, from Epoch we don't really see any changes yet at this level. Most of the changes are more higher levels, especially for paladins, so we'll have to wait for that, but very excited about what I've seen with the new Goldshire. I'm very eager to see the next zones, and if you did like the video and would love to see such updates from me, please let me know in the comment section what you think about the launch. Did you actually like it? Did you even manage to play it eventually? And yeah, thank you for the day guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.